Welcome to the fifth and final edition of the Unit 3 Learning Targets for Southeastern Biology. So this is Learning Target 3.5, and this is on hydrolysis and dehydration synthesis. And the learning target for the day is I can describe the processes of dehydration synthesis and hydrolysis and the relationship between them. So let's start with some key vocabulary, and we're going to put this into very simple terms and terms that you probably have already heard of before. So when we say to hydrate, many of us know that that's to hydrate means to add water, and when you dehydrate, you're losing water. So we think about this in terms of drinking and losing water. When you are dehydrated, it's probably because you sweat or you haven't had much water to drink lately. So to hydrate yourself, you need to drink more water. So there's an example of someone who is dehydrated getting hydrated. All right, now we're going to use another term called synthesize. And again, maybe you've heard of this term before, and all it means is to make something. So synthesize is to make, or particularly to combine two things together to make something. So when we say synthesize or synthesis, we're talking about making something. Lysis is the opposite of that. So lysis is to break apart. So we've actually used this term as well when we talked about viruses and bacteria lysing cells or breaking apart cells. So here's an example. You can see these cells. So this is a complete cell or a cell that's intact, and then you can see the cells kind of explode or lyse, and that means they break apart. So lysis means to break apart. All right, dehydration synthesis. So now we're putting the two terms together. Dehydration means to take out water, and synthesis means to put together. So in dehydration synthesis, we are putting together two different molecules by taking out water. So you can see how there's an OH and an H. We take out that OH and H, we make H2O, and we put together these two monosaccharides, which are the monomer of carbohydrates. We put them together to make with a disaccharide, and if we keep putting them together, we can make a polysaccharide, which means basically we just have a bunch of sugars linked in a row to make a long string of carbohydrates. Every time we do that, every time we put them together, we're taking out water. So dehydration synthesis is a type of chemical reaction that creates a bond by removing a molecule of water. So to build up long sugar molecules, you need water. So it kind of makes sense that plants use a lot of water when they're building together long sugar molecules. They're actually releasing water when they put together the sugar molecules, I should say. In this example reaction, that we were making a carbohydrate through dehydration synthesis. So I basically said that, but we put two monosaccharides together, they make a disaccharide, we're making a molecule called a polysaccharide. Okay, next up we have hydrolysis. So hydrolysis. So this time we are hydrating and lysing. So we're using water to break a bond by adding it to the reaction. So we're going backwards now. Here we have a disaccharide. We have two sugars linked together. We put the water back in, and it separates the two into separate monosaccharides. All right, so putting water into this molecule breaks them apart. In this example, a carbohydrate is broken down through hydrolysis. All right, so if you haven't figured this out already, dehydration synthesis is the opposite of hydrolysis. So when we dehydrate something, we take the water out and we make a long chain. When we hydrate or do hydrolysis, we put water in and break it apart. So when your body is breaking down polysaccharides or carbohydrates into the smaller pieces, it's using water to make that happen. So that's why you need to drink a lot of water to break apart these molecules. Okay, and then if your body decides that it's going to put the molecules back together for long-term energy storage, or if you're a plant and you're trying to store away the sugar for a long time, you're actually going to take out the water to put them together. So remember, dehydration synthesis, taking out water to make something, hydrolysis, adding water to break apart. And that's about it for dehydration synthesis and hydrolysis. Good luck.